Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will see what happens after the Persian army has broken through the steel wall of Sparta. More than 2,500 years ago, as the sun rose over the narrow seas of Greece, the waters near Salamis trembled under the weight of war. The mighty Persian fleet, hundreds of warships with crimson sails and golden crests, pushed steadily into the strait. On a high rocky hill overlooking the coast, King Xerxes, ruler of the greatest empire the world had ever seen, sat on a golden throne, surrounded by guards, watching with confidence. He believed that by noon, Greece, that rebellious cradle of freedom, would be silenced forever. But what Xerxes didn't know was this: he was walking into a trap. Weeks earlier, the legendary 300 Spartans had fallen at Thermopylae. Though they fought with unmatched valor, they were crushed by the sheer force of the Persian army. With no more resistance on land, Xerxes marched into Athens. The city had been abandoned, and what remained was torched. Yet, it wasn't over. Athens had evacuated its people to nearby islands, and more importantly, it had a fleet, a powerful one. Commanded by Themistocles, the Athenian navy joined forces with other city-states, forming a Greek fleet of around 370 triremes, ancient warships. Of these, Athens alone provided 200. The Persians, by contrast, boasted 600 ships, drawn from Phoenicia, Egypt, Cilicia, and other subject nations. Larger in number, more diverse, seemingly unstoppable. Strategically, the Greeks were cornered. But Themistocles had a plan, and it started with geography. The Straits of Salamis are narrow and twisted. Unlike open sea battles, this terrain limited maneuverability and forced ships into tight channels. Themistocles understood this better than anyone. He knew that in close quarters, the Persian advantage in numbers would turn against them. Their massive ships would block each other, becoming disorganized and unable to assist one another. The Greeks, however, had smaller, faster triremes, with experienced rowers who knew the waters like their own streets. They could turn sharply, strike with precision, and disappear between waves. But not all Greek commanders agreed. Many wanted to abandon Salamis and retreat south to defend the Peloponnese. So Themistocles devised a brilliant ruse. He sent a fake message to Xerxes, pretending to betray the Greeks. He claimed that the Greek alliance was collapsing, and now was the perfect time to attack. Xerxes, convinced, committed his navy to a full assault the next morning. What he didn't realize was that his own fleet would be his downfall. At dawn, the Greek fleet had already taken position, forming a wedge-like formation, ready to strike from multiple angles. The Persian ships entered the strait, one by one, squeezed by the terrain. Their formation stretched and broke as more vessels crowded the narrow waterway. Then, the Greeks struck. Their triremes surged forward, ramming into the exposed flanks of the Persians. The bronze rams at the front of each Greek ship pierced wood and hull with deadly force. Chaos erupted. Persian ships crashed into each other trying to turn. Egyptian and Phoenician vessels blocked one another. Greek ships moved in pairs or small squadrons, attacking from both sides. The tight quarters turned the Persian fleet into a floating traffic jam, unable to deploy archers or cavalry. From the hill above, Xerxes watched everything. At first, he was pleased, until he realized the tide had turned. Among the Persian ranks, one commander stood out: Artemisia, Queen of Halicarnassus. She reportedly rammed one of her own allied ships to escape pursuit, tricking the Greeks and earning Xerxes' admiration. But one woman's courage couldn't save the fleet. As the sun rose higher, Persian sailors, many of whom couldn't swim, drowned as their ships were torn apart. By midday, over 200 Persian ships were destroyed. The rest either retreated in panic or were captured. The battle was over, and it was a total disaster for Persia. The mighty fleet, the pride of Xerxes' invasion, lay shattered beneath the waves. With no naval support, Xerxes feared that his supply lines would be cut off. He immediately retreated to Asia, taking the bulk of his army with him. He left behind General Mardonius, who would continue the campaign on land, but morale had collapsed. For the Greeks, it was a miracle. Athens had been burned, but not broken. The sea had saved them. Salamis was not just a victory. It was a turning point. It shattered the myth of Persian invincibility and united the Greek city-states under a common cause. Salamis showed the world that cleverness, courage, and unity could defeat overwhelming power. Themistocles, though later exiled in political conflict, became a symbol of brilliant leadership. His ability to turn terrain into a weapon remains one of history's greatest military feats. Xerxes, once seen as a god-king, returned to Persia in silence, never again attempting to conquer Greece. The victory at Salamis didn't just protect Athens. It preserved Greek culture, the arts, philosophy, democracy, and freedom that would shape the Western world. It proved that history doesn't always belong to the biggest army, but to those who understand where, how, and why to fight.